Bienvenidos, bienvenidas una vez más, queridos oyentes, queridas oyentes, a este podcast Conversando con. Hoy no tengo a Angélica conmigo porque está viajando, pero tengo un invitado súper especial que es Jack. Jack, how you doing? How are you?
Hola, I'm doing great. Thank you all so much for having me. This is awesome.
Well, we are like, I don't know, it's said you before, but it's an honor to have you here because your music is pretty good and I don't know, make me feel something special, like peaceful, like no sé, like anything that is inside of me, like that. I don't know. Your music just I don't know if it's the rhythms or the melodies, but or even your voice. I don't know.
Well,
Let's see.
that's very meaningful to hear. Thank you. That means a lot to me. That's why I make music. So it's really great to
Yeah,
hear that it reaches you in that way.
I don't know. It's I could sit and listen all day, and I
Oh.
will be like in my same moment.
Yeah, it's kind of calm music and then a little bit sad, but not too sad, but just kind of
Maybe
like a specific
melancholic,
emotion.
a little
A little
bit,
melancholic, a little chill. Yeah.
but oh, it's pretty good.
Thank you
That's
so much.
important. So
Yeah.
first of all, share with us all your social media, like I don't know, Instagram,
Yeah.
Spotify, I don't know, this or Apple, all that you have,
Yeah.
please. How could we
Yeah.
find?
I keep it, it's just my name for everything. So like I'm mostly on Instagram and Spotify are kind of my two biggest things, and it's both just my name. So Instagram is just at Jack Keys, and that's Keyes. And then same for my Spotify. I just go by my real name for my artist name. So that's how you can find me online.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Well, let's start with some question about you, about your project, about your music, about your influences. Um, the the first thing that we usually uh, do is to want to talk about how did project of Jack Keys come together? How I don't know. Maybe you could share with us a little bit of your musical backgrounds.
Yeah, of course.
How how did it start?
Yeah, so I have a godfather who's a musician, and he sent me a guitar when I was maybe I was 13 years old or 12 years old, maybe, because I'd always wanted to play music. And so I literally in the mail got a guitar, which was really, really special. And it was a left-handed guitar, and I'm left-handed. And so I knew I had to keep up with it ever
Yeah,
since then. So I still play that left-handed guitar. And I always loved writing. I loved reading and writing growing up, and I thought music would be a great outlet for that to express myself. And once I got a guitar, I pretty much immediately just started writing songs. And I started releasing music when I was in college and earnestly releasing music in college. And I really, really started pushing this project a couple years ago during the pandemic, like 2020. I started really regularly putting music out and trying to make it a bigger part of my life. So, yeah, it's been, I guess, 2 or 3 years now. I've been really putting out a lot of music.
that's pretty good. Let's see about pandemic because what's up? Big moment, the big moment.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so, how was that for you? Because I was yesterday with a guy and he like was productive because I was at
Mhm.
home and I usually record at home and I was like, yeah, maybe for a lot of people was productive. I don't know. How was it for you?
Yeah, well, of course, it was I mean, obviously a very difficult time for everyone, but
Yeah,
we talked, already about how we're both teachers. And so I went from it was my first year after college, my first year teaching when the pandemic hit. And I went from having every day, spending 8 to 10 hours a day working as a teacher to not having to do anything really as a teacher too much.
yeah,
And so I really used all of that time into creative projects, particularly music. And so that was when I really, really got serious about recording and writing. And me and a friend, I lived in Nashville, Tennessee at the time. and me and a friend recorded my first album that summer, and it just became this really big creative project that I undertook with the extra time I had at home. I was staying with my parents for a while. I didn't have a lot of responsibilities. I was very privileged to be able to be home and still getting a paycheck from my teaching job. And that was some of my most creative times in my life so far, was doing,
It's the same, man. What's one of the better times of my life to create music, to produce music? I don't know. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And in that way, why did you keep your name at your project? Because other people takes names like, I don't know, Johnny Wade, or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, even people, use fake, like, like they even if it's a real name, it might be like Elliot Smith. His name's not really Elliot.
Yeah, but sounds like sorry, your name sounds like a superhero name. Like
I love that.
Jack like Keys, Peter Parker. Like I don't know.
Yeah, my parents did a good job. Well, I just decided to stick with my name. I was actually talking to my friend about this recently because he said sometimes if you use your real name, it can pigeonhole you a little bit. Like maybe people just expect you to be always a certain way, like just a singer-songwriter. And I never thought about that. But I like just using my real name because it shows that this is a lifelong project. Because I can never escape from my name, so I have to just put myself behind the music. Whereas if I chose a band name, I could have easily abandoned it and then said, I'm done with this, I'm going to choose a different name. So I guess it gave me more responsibility to make sure what I'm putting out, I could really put my name behind and really, just stand behind it. So that's why I've just always used my name.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And I don't know, it's clearer to have your own name. I don't know. Makes
it easier.
It's
me. I think if I chose a band name, I would regret my choice, whereas I can't blame my real name on anyone.
I don't know. It's happened because, I don't know, here at the podcast, we have a lot of stories of people that have names and have 3 or 2 names in a year, and it's like, it's like us, but maybe we could change it. And and again, and it's like, I don't know. But
there's pros and cons to both, because it is interesting. If you use a different name, you can feel a little more anonymous. You can feel maybe more free in a way because it's not your true name. But for me, it always just made the most sense to just go with my real name.
Sure. Well, let's talk about music and all that, but first of all, what do you think is this gender that your music will best describe your sound? I mean, is there any specific influence that have you shaped your musical style?
Yes, I think a lot of different things have shaped what I like out of music. I could name all sorts of random things. Even, for instance, I grew up attending Catholic school, and even though I don't go to Catholic church or practice, that anymore, I had to go to church every Wednesday with my school, and they would always play church music. So that was kind of almost the first, would be like religious Catholic music. I would hear that all the time. And then like my sister was in a lot of musicals growing up, so I'd always, she still is an actress to this day, and I remember the songs really vividly from her musicals. And my dad was a big like Bob Dylan fan, and so he would always play that. So just lots of music going on, my whole life. And then in high school, I really started to love Nick Drake, if you know him, the folk musician, and that's where I started to use a lot of alternate tunings, and fingerstyle guitar. And I always liked classical music as well, so I started playing classical guitar, and that's kind of where the style has originated now, for why I tend to write songs on classical guitar and finger picking. So I think those are the big influences that I can think of.
That's great. Great.
I have a ton of artists that I listen to all the time too. I was just thinking like Sufjan Stevens I listen to a lot of, and I already name dropped him. I say him all the time, but Elliott Smith I love, and Joni Mitchell growing up. I listened to her, and just so many different names. But yeah,
Well, let's make it easier.
yeah.
Give us top 10.
Oh, it's all 10. 10's a lot. Wait, could I do 5? Because 10 might be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 would be. I was just listening to a band called Sparkle Horse that I really love. And I think his music really captures the feeling I try to in my music, where it's very wistful and melancholic, but it's also a bit joyful and a bit calming as well. And so I always love that about Sparkle Horse. And then I love Judy Sill, who's I think, 70s folk singer. And she's also very influenced by her church upbringing. So her music has a very church kind of sound, like a gospel-y choir kind of sound. And then
pretty good, eh? The gospel,
yeah,
pretty good.
maybe, I don't know if gospel, maybe I used the wrong word, but it just very like clear church influence. And then I like I named Nick Drake and Elliott Smith. I love those two quite a bit. And honestly, I listen to a lot of my friends these days, even like local musicians. But I would say my last pick for my all-time favorite would be Tom Waits. I love his album Swordfish Trombones and Rain Dogs. He has lots of really cool albums that are kind of like concept albums almost. They're very theatrical in a way. So he's a big influence too.
Pretty good. I don't know. It's something special that is behind all of your music that, I don't know, connects in a deeply way with me. I don't know, in
Thank you so much for your. That means a lot. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about how's your maybe process to create the lyrics, process to songwriting process, maybe like how do you usually go about creating new music as a musician?
Yeah, for me, it's just kind of a therapeutic way to unwind. So I'll come home and I'll just kind of start mindlessly playing guitar, maybe changing up guitar tunings, playing in alternate tunings. And it's just very therapeutic for me to try to find melodies on guitar, different chord changes. And I'll kind of know I hit something if I feel it, if I feel a certain sort of emotional response to it. And so after I come up with a melody on guitar, then I sort of fill it in with lyrics usually. And so I love reading, I love poetry, and those have all influenced my lyrics. But it's usually just kind of a matter of filling in the blanks, because I'll have a melody that I've come up with on guitar, and then I'll just sort of hum that melody and try to fill it in with words that are meaningful to me. But yeah, a lot of the lyrics. I actually did an interview just a few days ago with the radio station in Oakland and talked about this. A lot of my lyrics kind of have to do with like the complexity of relationships, not even just romantic relationships, but friendships.
Everything, yeah.
Everything, yeah. Like how, yeah, it's hard to, yeah, they're just difficult human interaction. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the relationships are in a lot of levels big thing that, I don't know, even it stress us with all things. And the thing is that if you could put it on words, that's something. And in your songs is in there. Yeah.
Even just like how relationships might make us feel. Like sometimes maybe you have a friendship or a relationship that makes you feel not good about yourself, and kind of finding, like, I don't know, figuring out your own voice and your own independence, and being around people who make you feel good about yourself and make you feel empowered. I'm not sure. Yeah, a lot of the lyrics seem to be like about that.
Yeah. It's that we're humans and we are fighting every day with everything.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and well, music is a way to help us, maybe. What do you think about it? How do you think the music help us? Do you think that help us? I personally do.
I think, are you asking me for if I think it helps?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely just makes you feel connected with humanity, or with other people, because you can, as we've talked about, that powerful feeling of being able to feel what other people feel, kind of that empathy piece through music is really powerful. And so in that way, music is extremely powerful. And at the same time, it's, at the end of the day, I try not to be too serious about my own music and recognize that it's just something that I enjoy doing for fun, and I can't control what other people think about it, if they like it or don't like it. But I think it's both powerful, and it's something I try not to take too seriously at the same time.
And in the writing process, what inspires you to, I don't know, maybe write a song about, I don't know, the moon, like To the Moon?
Oh yeah, the song for the moon. Yeah, that one I was thinking a lot about, again, like the complexity of relationships, and so that song I was thinking of being like a mother-child relationship. I especially, kind of referencing my grandma and my father, because my grandma had some addiction issues, like problems maybe with drugs or alcohol, and so as a child, that was really strange for me to observe, like my father and my grandma's relationship. And so I wrote that song just about the complexity of unconditional love, and maybe still loving a parent uh, even if they don't do the right thing all the time, still being there for them and still loving them. But you can definitely apply it to a romantic relationship or something as well. But I was kind of thinking of a family relationship when I wrote that song.
Yeah, that's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, are there sorry. There are any, I don't know, messages or themes that are, I don't know, regularly on your songs, like something that you always come and write and say, this, I don't know, this album maybe it's about this, or this album is about.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think the first album, I wrote it during the pandemic, and I was thinking a lot about my place in the world, and uh, there's a lot of injustice going on in the United States, especially my city in Louisville. And so it was just a very reflective album about both myself, because I had lots of time to think about myself, and then also my community. And so there's some, themes of social justice, or there's some themes of my hometown in that album a lot. And then the second album was more about relationships, and like the song that you referenced earlier, "Feather in the Wind," is a bit about not trying to be swayed by what other people think when it comes to your own self-image. And I feel like a lot of the songs kind of relate to that, kind of finding out who you are, your independence, your own self, without being swayed by what other people think you should be or should do. So that's kind of a lot of that one.
This is very good and interesting also because I don't know. I wanted to ask you about some Kentucky. Well, we didn't say that, but you come from Louisville,
Yeah.
right?
You know what? There's so many different pronunciations. In Kentucky, there's like people have more of a southern accent, like Southern American accent. So you
Yeah,
might say like
maybe
Louisville,
Louisville.
or yeah. So, but yeah, that's where I'm living, is Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah.
Perfect. So let's talk about Kentucky. The sound.
Yeah.
How did you create it? How, I don't know, because this is an album that comes in 2021, but that have the creation in 2020. I think all
Yeah.
the problems or the, I don't know. 2020 was difficult in so many ways.
Yeah.
Not only the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah. So talking about that album more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those songs were pretty old because I had written some of them in college, and then during the pandemic, I was, my first year out of college, and I started to reshape those songs, rewrite them uh, to kind of reflect the current situation and to reflect my adult self versus my kid self that I wrote it, when I was 18, 19. And so a lot of those songs, it was just about reworking them and having the confidence to finally record them. And so thankfully, I met my friend Paul, who's helped me record a lot, who's a musician as well. I was living in Nashville at the time, which is just a couple hours from Louisville. And I felt like it was finally time to really put these songs together and to finally release it properly. And so I just kind of went for it and decided to make an album. But yeah, the first song is called Summertime Funeral, and it references my hometown of Louisville quite a bit. And then the last song is called Kentucky, and it's one of the oldest songs I've written. And it's a pretty straightforward folk song, but it's, also about Kentucky, of course. So there's a lot of references to my home state in there, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know if you have a ritual or a routine before going to the studio or the stage when you go on live performance. I don't know if I laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, routine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for playing live, I played my first show with a full band recently, and that was a ton of fun. And so I hope to do that a little bit more. It sounds really full and really awesome that way. But usually for a live show, I used to get, if it's just me playing solo, I used to get, I think, a lot more nervous than I do now. I remember the first time I wanted to throw up. I was so nervous, but now it's become a little bit more of a regular thing. And I just have been really enjoying it. I did a little run of shows with a band that I really like that's very similar. That's called His, but he's on my Spotify related artist, but definitely go check out their music. They're awesome. They're from Canada. But yeah, that was my first time we did a run of shows in Chicago and some other US cities. Yeah, but I don't have too much of a routine other than hopefully running through the songs a few times. And then before going into a studio, I just like to I'm not so good with technical music vernacular. Haven't really studied music theory before, or I don't know that much about the technical aspects. So I try to think of ways I can describe how I want the song to sound in a creative way, which can be tough. But I think just recording with people who are on the same page as you and have a similar vision is really important. And I've been grateful to be able to record with lots of friends and who can definitely see the vision through. So
Yeah, being around people that love your music, loves your work. I don't know.
yeah,
That's the good thing about all this. I mean, I'm happy to be here with you because just imagine, I'm just a guy that have a show and Spotify, and I don't know, we are really really far away from
oh, it's so
the other.
cool, isn't it? So special. It's awesome.
It's
I
awesome.
was so excited to get your email.
Yeah,
It's really,
it's
really cool.
awesome because I don't know, maybe getting real when you see your numbers on Spotify or I don't know, but when you talk to people, is
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, this is like a dream of any boy or teenager
Yeah.
from the 90s that is meeting the artist and the musician that is listening I don't know. Well, I do in my phone, but in
Yeah.
that time was like an after man or whatever. But this is like a dream, and I don't know. The technology help us with this.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, I never would have thought I would, if I knew a couple years ago that I would have people listening in South America and Europe, and all over Asia, I would just be so thrilled. And I mean, I'm so honored.
No, no,
So
nor is for us having your music because
yeah,
I don't know.
thank you.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And In that way, I like to ask you about, do you have, I don't know, the most memorable or exciting moment in your musician career so far? You have
Oh, that's a
any?
great question. That's a good question. I haven't thought too much about it. Let me take a second. Um, I honestly, well, there's like two elements of it because there's the performing live, and so I've had some great shows performing live. I remember, I think one of my favorite ones. This is like a very simple, great moment, but it was around this time last year. I just played at like a backyard show that someone was hosting, and it was just a really beautiful time, and um, I just felt like very connected and felt like happy to be part of my local music community. And I've been able to meet really, really great friends in Louisville who also play music. And it just feels really special to be part of that community locally here. Um, but I've also, more of the online global Spotify stuff. Just getting messages like the one email you sent me has been really cool. I've had some awesome people reach out, and I get really lovely messages and really kind things, and it just is really overwhelming in the kindest of ways. I have a funny story where this kid who lived in a small town in Minnesota one time emailed me. I think he was like 11 years old or really young, but he emailed me saying that he's saving up his birthday money to try to buy a shirt. And I thought that was really sweet. And I ended up just sending him a shirt for free because I'm not going to make him save up his money.
Oh,
But then he emailed me that he got it and he was really excited about it. And that's like a really good little moment that is just really sweet to think about.
yeah, pretty sweet. I don't know, my head is like,
Yeah. It's really sweet. Yeah. It's really
yeah,
nice.
no. I was, yeah, right now I was thinking about asking you about a funny story or something, but this is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Maybe we could talk about maybe problems or I don't know difficulties that that you have
Yeah.
during the career
Oh,
because
good
it's not
question.
it's,
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Yeah. I'm kind of like hitting some of that right now where it can just be hard after doing it for a while where it really comes back to you have to have confidence in yourself regardless of what other people might think because no matter who you are, I think if you make music long enough, you'll get nice things and then you'll get people not so nice. And so, uh, yeah, it's there's so much to be grateful for and so much to be happy about. But sometimes I still get in my own head and tell myself like you can't do this or why are you even trying? I think everyone has those self-doubt moments and they don't maybe always admit it. But I think everyone it's a universal thing. And sometimes when I pick up my guitar, it's just like I don't it's like why do I think I have the right to think I can write something, or so I don't know. There are just all these self-doubt moments and that can be really hard to overcome. And I think it's really just me standing in my own way that's been the hard moment more than any extrinsic thing, more than anyone else rejecting or turning down my music. It's really myself that stands in my own way. And I've been pretty good about consistently releasing music and writing music. But there are some times where it'll be a few months or an extended period of time where I just don't really have the confidence to be able to do it. And that can be hard to overcome. But I just think it happens to everyone. So,
Yeah, in different ways.
yeah, in
Just
different ways.
just find a way to do something with it and could be,
Yeah.
I don't know, be painting, could be music, whatever. Do something.
Yeah. And it's also a time too, if I'm not feeling as confident if I'm not feeling super confident about writing music, sometimes it's good to switch gears and decide to maybe perform live a little bit more or do something different, like a different creative impulse that can still be productive because, yeah, you can't force yourself to write all the time if you don't want to, or if you're not feeling it. So it's good to just channel that creative energy in other ways, or maybe just like sit and read a good book or watch a good movie instead, or support your friends' music and give yourself some space and time to
Yeah.
be inspired.
Now that we are talking about that, What advice would you give to, I don't know, to new people to that is creating music, or well, starting something that they are not confident, or maybe they don't think they are the good things that they really are. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think the confidence that I most believe in, that would be the hardest for someone else to take, is just what I talked about, which is you have to do it for yourself. Like you have to recognize that there's a healing feeling from creating, regardless of what other people think, and that it's really important to make things just because the making them is very valuable. Just the process is very valuable for yourself. Again, though, that's really easy to say and hard advice to take. But more practically, I would just say, it's going to sound so cliche, but just to keep going, really,
Yeah,
just to be
that's
able
it. That's
to,
it.
just to be able to write something and record it and not even really worry about if people like it or not. Just move on to the next thing. I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep recording. If it's something you want to do, I'm going to meet people from your city and go to shows in your city if you have shows going on, or meet people online who might connect with your music, and just build a community in that way, I think is really valuable. But just persistence and confidence that you can do it because you can. So
Yeah. We are here to do something.
yeah,
That's something that I usually think, because there's so many people that is trying to do his best, and you could do it too.
yeah,
Are
yeah, you can do it. Yeah, and it's also hard when your impulse is to compare yourself with other people always, and no matter
patience.
where you
That's how
are,
good
there's
you
always
are.
yeah, there's always more that you could have. There's always someone who has more than you. There's always more to chase. But I really do think it's valuable, even if you have one person a month that listens to your music, or zero people, even if it's just you are listening to the music. I think it's valuable if you mean it and it comes from your heart. Like it really is valuable. And I didn't used to understand that, but I'm starting to understand that a little more now, I think.
That's at the beginning is really hard, because I don't know, you want fans, you want people that write you emails or ask you
Yeah.
like, oh, I like it, but stop, wait,
Yeah.
keep
It took
going,
me yeah. It
step
took
baby
me years and
steps.
years to get there. And I'm still at the beginning in a lot of ways. But it took me years for people to reach out and say they liked it. And a lot of that is just because I was very persistent, like submitting to different blogs and playlists all the time, to get there. But yeah, again, still at the very beginning, obviously. But for me, just having more people doesn't necessarily make you happier. Even if the number of people that listen to you is higher
Yeah,
than it was before, it doesn't change too much at the end of the day. You still have to
yeah,
find the
because
happiness from yourself.
it's you and your mind and your room.
Yeah.
You at the
And
end, you are alone in your room,
right.
in your bed.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw an interview. I think it was with Rick Rubin, the producer. It just like came up on my TikTok feed, but he said, and I thought it was really true, that if you talk to really successful artists or really successful businessmen with millions of dollars, a lot of the times they're not necessarily happy because they've achieved the thing they wanted, and they still find that they're not that happy in the end of the day because
Yeah,
it has to come from within. And so, like, I know we talked about it's really special to meet people through music and to connect with people, or for your music to mean something. That's like the most special thing to me in a lot of ways. And at the same time, like you said, at the end of the day, when you lie your head down on your pillow, it has to come back to you. And all those things are not going to change how you feel about yourself.
yeah, it's like that moment when you just realize that almost will sound like a monster, but you're alone in the world. You're a lonely guy. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't know, numbers, money give you some happy, but not all.
Yeah.
It's not at all. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I know some people who are like made it, like quote unquote, and I don't know
yeah,
if they're like super more happy than they were before. I think they're kind of the same as they always were. I think there's a moment of like, oh my gosh, I did it, but I think that passes. So again, yeah, it has to just come back to yourself.
yeah, for sure. And well, we're in the moment of our life, do whatever, even with the AI now. um,
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think about it? Because
Oh, about AI.
music and arts are, well, humanities in in special ways will have, no, it's like Terminator something.
Yeah. Oh, I have a funny story, which is that I was just in San Francisco on a trip, and I drove in a car or I didn't drive in a car. I was a passenger in a car that was self-driving, which I didn't even know those existed.
Oh
But
my
in San
god.
Francisco, yeah, so in San Francisco, you can order like a self-driving car as like your
Like an
Uber.
Uber or something like that.
Yeah, and so it's on the roads. There's no one in the front seat. It totally just drives you. Um, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, maybe it's kind of Back to Future thing.
Yeah, but in a way, like it's tricky because things like that, like practical things, it's really great. Like you can be in a car where there's much less risk of an accident, and it's all automized. Because I get nervous driving, so it's good to have safety in that way. But then you also hope that the really rich people don't use this. I mean, they will. I mean, the really rich people use this to put working class people out of jobs because then, if you have an
Yeah,
automated
maybe
driver,
that's a
your
problem.
taxi
Yeah,
cab driver isn't, or your Uber isn't making money, obviously. So, yeah, that's very tricky. But as far as AI and music, I am not too worried about it. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. I haven't really given it too much thought because I think we talked about music is a really special thing that touches something like deep within you, and I'm not too worried about AI doing that yet. I'm not sure if it can. Maybe it will. I've seen weird stuff already with it where the AI can replicate people's voices. Like you can
yeah,
see.
that's what I was
Yeah,
saying. I
yeah,
just
that's
hear
pretty
the other
strange.
day. I just hear Michael Jackson singing a
Yeah,
Beyonce song, and it was like
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's really
Uh,
weird. It will probably have to be regulated in some way, or because that,
yeah,
you put that on Spotify, it'd probably be copyright. Again, I mean, I wouldn't be happy if someone made an AI song.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see tomorrow what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, TBD, to be determined how we feel
Yeah,
about
yeah,
AI music.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think for like art stuff, I don't know. I think humanity will prevail no matter
yeah.
what. I don't know.
I
I
also
know that
think
the
that.
AI art is getting better and the AI books are getting better and the music's getting, I know it's getting better, but it still has a long way to go. And
Yeah,
I don't think it will ever capture the true
like a
like human.
camera. I mean,
Yeah.
you're. But my eyes, as can you see, my eyes doesn't work pretty good because I have my
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah.
The
Glasses are
camera of my
technology.
phone isn't the same that am I looking at even with my glasses. So
Yeah. That's a good analogy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Hopefully it'll just make our lives easier, but
yeah. That's
I'm
I
not
I
super
look at it like
optimistic.
a tool. It's a tool for me.
Yeah, I think it definitely. I mean, as a teacher, like we're both teachers, you can ask it to create a lesson plan for you, and it will make a not
Yeah,
bad lesson plan. So
5 seconds.
yeah,
That's it. That
yeah,
ChatGPT will do it in 5 seconds. That's it.
yeah,
Ugh, scary in some ways.
yeah. It is.
Well, let's talk about the last release that you have. That is House. How,
Yeah,
well, it was came out on the birthday of my mother. So 14 April. What I'm talking about? The house.
the house.
I just
talk about the house?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about the house. Sorry, my
Oh, all good.
mind, my
I
mind
didn't
is
fully
like,
catch.
woo.
No, all good. Yeah, so that's on these recent releases that I've been doing have been a little bit more collaborative rather than me recording at home or recording just with one friend. Now that I've made more friends in my local music community, I've had a lot of them come into a studio here in town. And like I had a viola player who's really great named Ellie Ruth. And she played on that song, and a saxophone player. And then I had, a drummer and really talented musicians all across town helping me see the vision through on the music. And so that's been really cool recording and makes it less stressful for me to have people I trust like play those parts. And so that's given these new releases a little bit more of a full and maybe polished sound, which is it's an interesting switch up. And then that song in particular is kind of inspired. It's metaphorical, but it's a little bit inspired by my friend who their house burned down, like literally burned down. And it was a sort of complicated situation because, oh man, it's a lot to get into, but basically, I was supposed to move in with them, and then I decided not to. And
And
then
then
their
the
new roommate,
house burned out.
yeah, then the house burned down, and like I kind of just felt weird about the whole situation from a
Yeah,
distance. And so, yeah, it was like a really tough situation that they went through. And so it was kind of about that feeling of like I felt almost guilty that I wasn't there. But then I felt also selfish for feeling guilty because there wasn't really anything I can do about it. So that
yeah,
was kind of just like the emotions I was writing about.
pretty good. And the song is, I don't know, your music have something in there that just connects with me in an angelica in some ways that I don't know. It's pretty peaceful for me to
Oh,
hear
thank
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's how you know, that's how I feel a lot of the time. I think I'm a pretty relaxed guy, but
yeah,
like with the touch of
I
melancholy,
can feel
I
it.
can be a little sad. But yeah, I don't know. I think the music is capturing how I am. So that means a lot that it feels calming to you or can be helpful. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. Well, Jack, we are in the end of this
Oh, how
conversation
sad.
because I
I
can.
feel really sad that you have to translate all my things I'm saying. I feel
No,
really bad about that. Okay,
no,
is there
uh,
automatic?
yeah, automatic. I
Okay.
will even more. I will try to do the AI do something for me.
Ah, there we go. AI is useful after all.
Yeah,
I'm trying to enunciate so that it will pick it up, but I feel guilty because I took Spanish classes when I was younger and I really should know it and I like lost whatever I
no,
knew I don't know.
it's
So
weird because I don't know. Here at Colombia, we usually take classes to first grade until we graduate and in English, and
yeah.
most the most of the people, well, know English, but not at all. Um,
Your English is amazing. You're very strong
I don't
at
know.
English.
I'm I don't know why. Well, stop, Jack. Stop.
Oh, I was also going to mention, I was trying to think if I had any connections with Colombia. I've been to Costa Rica, which is like nearby, but my only connection with Colombia is this year, actually, my students, we were paired up with the school in Colombia as like a virtual exchange. So it was
Ooh,
in, I'm gonna what's the biggest city in Colombia? It starts with a B. I don't want to say it wrong.
biggest city, maybe.
Bogota?
Yeah, maybe Bogota.
Yeah, it was with that city. I just didn't want to say it wrong, but Bogota.
Sí, Bogota, Bogota.
Yeah, yeah. So we were paired up with a class from that city, and so I've had correspondence with Colombia before.
Yeah,
So that's my only other connection.
nah, no, you have two connections now.
Yes, this is my second one, and I hope one day you can make it to the States and we can hang out in
No, for
person. Or
sure.
vice
I'm
versa.
looking. I'm looking for I don't know, like scholarship or something to go there.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll follow each other on Instagram and keep up after this.
Yeah, For the people that is here with us, we know that you are here. We didn't forget about you. Don't worry.
Oh
Next
yeah.
week will come another artist. This guy is from. Well, I say you then. But for now, people, say goodbye to Jack. Say goodbye to me. See you, Jack. It was an honor to have you here because I don't know, it's pretty good to hear an artist like you. Your music is pretty amazing.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I don't know. I don't know. I put it to my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, you remember when I was like 20 and I don't know. This is pretty cool."
I'm gonna
Yeah,
cry. I'm gonna cry.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
so
My
sweet.
mom.
You
You're
showed
like
your
my
mom.
mom.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so sweet. Tell her hi. Tell
yeah,
her thank
yeah,
you. That's so
yeah.
sweet.
So, well, goodbye, people. Jack, podcast is for you. Say goodbye. Say whatever you want. Um, talk about if you have some presentation,
Oh yeah.
or I don't know if you want to talk about a new release that it's coming. Ooh.
Yeah, I got more coming for sure. I'm in the process of mastering. I think I'll have a new, it'll either be a short album or a long EP. I'm not sure, but I have right now 6 songs. I might end up with 8 or 10. But yeah, I have some more stuff coming up in the late summer. I guess I don't know if it's summer there actually. In like July, August, September, I should have more music coming out. And so it's been a privilege to be here. Thank you so, so much for having me. And I'm honored to have listeners in Colombia. And yeah, thank you all so much.
Well, see you then, Jack. It was
Yes, you
a pleasure
too.
to have you here, and see you soon. I hope.
Yeah, see you one day soon.
Yeah. Well, bye bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.